Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to day 2 of this declutter series. So in front of me today I have my blushes, some face palettes, bronzers, highlighters that I have put into my declutter basket. That most of these I am going to be decluttering, but I do get to rescue a few things if I want to. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. All right, so here are all of the blushes that got into my declutter basket, and then here are the bronzers and highlighters. So we will go through these one at a time as quickly as we can. Okay, so here are all of the blushes. There's nothing that's like jumping out at me like I have to save it, so that could change as we start going through and like swatching stuff. So let's just go ahead and hop into it. I'm going to start with the palettes and then work back towards the single blushes. So first palette I have here is from Tarte, and this is their Holiday 2016 palette. They make absolutely wonderful holiday palettes. This is, you know, it's beautiful. You've got 2 highlighters and then 8 blushes, and I just don't tend to reach for this. I reach more for the 2015 blush palette, and I think that might have something to do with the fact that that only has 5 blushes and this has, you know, a lot more. So it's just, I tend to get overwhelmed with, you know, more than like 5 or 6 products. So I am going to go ahead and let that one go. I'm also going to let this one go. This is the Tarteist blush palette. I got this shortly after I started my YouTube channel in 2015, and it's another beautiful Tarte blush palette, but it's just not one that I reach for very much. I used it quite a bit for about the first 6 months that I had it, and then I just kind of stopped reaching for it. Again, I reach more for my Holiday 2015 Tarte blush palette, and of course the other blushes that I have still in my collection. So I am going to let this one go. Next palette I have here is the Narcissist palette. I haven't even ever taken the plastic off, and that's not because I haven't used it. I have used it. This is the Unfiltered 2. But I did kind of stop using this palette because I got mad at NARS because they decided to sell in China and not be cruelty-free anymore. And I just kind of stopped using all my NARS stuff when that happened because I just got mad at them, which is stupid because it doesn't hurt them for me to not use my products. This blush palette I absolutely loved until NARS went not cruelty-free. So it's a really hard one for me to let go of. I did hang on to my other NARS palette that has the Laguna bronzer in it. I like the cheek, like the blush colors in here actually a little bit better, but I just could not get rid of Laguna, so I kept that one. This one I'm still like this hot sand shade. I think that's hot sand. Yeah, this one. It's just such a pretty, like, highlighty kind of blush. It's so pretty. And then this, like, light baby pink is really pretty, too, for fair skin. I'm going to put this in a maybe pile. I can't get rid of it just yet. Next here I have a Becca blush palette. It's got 3 blushes. It has Wisteria, which is this limited edition shade. This was a holiday palette a couple years ago. I think, yeah, 2016, so a little over a year ago. And then you have 2 of their like permanent ones. You have Songbird, and the last one is Snapdragon. I feel like Snapdragon is one of those like colors that's in every Becca blush palette, so I really don't need that one. Songbird I don't reach for very much because it's just it's kind of orange, and you have to be really careful if you're fair skin, but it is really a pretty color if you're careful with it. And then lastly, Wisteria. I love this shade, and I kind of want to keep this palette for that shade, but I really don't reach for this very much. I'm going to put this into a maybe pile. I might save it. We'll see. Okay, moving on to the single blushes. I'll start with this one. This is the Nude Sticks All Over Face Color in the shade Bareback. And it's a beautiful color. I didn't really like the formula. I should have returned it, and I just didn't. I've only used it like twice. Like I said, it's a really pretty color, but it's kind of a thick, kind of like almost greasy feeling formula. I feel like it doesn't like really blend out that well, even if you use the brush that comes with it, and the brush is actually part of the reason I bought it too, because I thought that would be really nice for blending, but I didn't feel like it worked that well. So I will be letting this one go. Next, I have the Balm Beach blush from the Balm. This is a beautiful color. It made it through my last declutter, but this time I was like, I don't reach for it very much, so I tried to start using it more, and I just wasn't impressed with the lasting power. Again, the color is beautiful and it's very soft. It blends pretty nicely, but it doesn't really last on me anyway, so I am gonna let this one go, even though it's so pretty and I love the packaging. Okay, Urban Decay blushes. I've got two here. Kinky, which is this like orangey kind of peachy bronze color. It's a really pretty color, but I just don't reach for this very much. The Urban Decay blushes are really good. They're called 8-hour blushes, and I would say they last about 8 hours. But the Too Faced Love Flush blushes last a bit longer, and I got the peach version of that, which is like Peachy Love or something, and I feel like that one just lasts a little bit longer, and the color is similar. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep that one and get rid of this one, but it is really pretty. It's a nice blush. It's kind of like I don't need to have multiple of that kind of color in my collection, so I'm gonna go ahead and let that one go. I'm also going to let Fetish go. This is one that I also kind of gave a second chance to, and I wasn't that impressed by it. I think I prefer blushes actually with a little teeny bit of a sheen, and these are totally matte. So I am gonna go ahead, or this one is totally matte, not all of them. So I'm gonna let this one go. Next I have a Laura Geller Baked Blush and Brighten. These are really nice blushes. This is the shade Pink Grapefruit. The reason that I'm getting rid of this one is over the years, I've decided that it's a little bit too on the red tone for my skin. Because I have rosacea and I have a problem with redness, this can kind of accentuate that. So the only time I can use this is if I have like no redness, and that's like hoping that I don't have redness throughout the day. So I don't really use this anymore, so I'm gonna let this one go. But these are really, really good blushes. Next blush I have here is a little baby from NARS. This is this was the VIB Rouge gift, not last year, but the year before. This is the shade Gulu, and that is what it looks like. It is really pretty. It's just a little bit darker than what I tend to go for, so I'm gonna let that one go. Also, like I said, I'm mad at NARS because they decided to not be cruelty-free anymore. Next, I have this Too Faced Sweethearts blush in the shade Candy Glow. It's a very pretty, like, cotton candy kind of pink with a shimmer to it. I just don't really reach for this one, so I am gonna let that go. It's just a very, very pale color. This will only work on fair skin. I know I have very fair skin, but I just don't tend to reach for it anymore, so I'm saying goodbye. Next, here is this little mini of a Tarte blush in the shade Sweet. This came in a little kit that I got at Sephora a couple years ago. It's really pretty. I just don't tend to reach for this color. I have other blushes that I just like more, and that's kind of the bottom line with all of these. Even though these are nice blushes, I just reach for other things, and I don't want stuff sitting in my collection that I don't absolutely love. So I am gonna go ahead, and let this one go. Next, I have this Bare Minerals All Over Face color. This is in the shade True. These all over face colors are really pretty, and I bought this because I loved the Pure Radiance so much, but this shade I just don't reach for because it's kind of like the Pink Grapefruit, where it's a really pretty, really nice blush, but it's just a little bit too red toned for me. I feel like you're not getting the full effect here in my swatch, but it's so pretty. It's like glittery and glowy and beautiful, but the color is just a little too red for me, so I'm gonna let that one go. And the last one I have here is the Too Faced Love Flush Blush in Love Hangover. I love these Love Flush blushes. They last a very long time. Like, I think they say 16 hours, and I would say they'd probably last about that amount of time, like 12 to 16 hours. This is what it looks like. This is actually a really nice blush for traveling because of the size, and I like the lasting power. So I think I actually am going to go ahead and rescue this, not even giving it a second chance, just straight up rescuing it, because I'm going to put it into a like on the fly kind of travel makeup bag. So I'm going to go ahead and hold on to this one, and I'm not going to count it against that like 10 items that I'm allowed to save. So I think I did pretty well. These are all the ones I'm getting rid of, and then these two I'm going to think about, the NARS blush palette and then the Becca blush palette. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the blushes, the highlighters and the bronzers. So again, there's nothing sticking out at me like I have to save it. So we're just gonna kind of go through and decide that way, I guess. So first off, I have this pure bronzer that I got, I think it wasn't last year, I think it was the year before. This is actually a really pretty bronzer. You can mix them all together, you can split them up into different shades. You've got your like more kind of terracotta-y red colors and then your cooler, lighter colors at the top. It's a really nice bronzer, giant bronzer that you can use like to bronze your shoulders and everything too, because it's so big. But I don't really reach for it. It's very powdery and is kind of a mess, so I don't really reach for it. So I'm gonna let that one go. Next bronzer I have here is from Too Faced. This is the Sweethearts bronzer in Baked Luminous Glow. You've got kind of two shades. You have your darker and then you have your lighter. I haven't used this in a really long time. It's a pretty bronzer, but I don't know, it looks really nice. I feel like I need to give this one a second chance. Also, these are my wedding colors, so I kind of almost want to keep this even if I don't use the bronzer, just for decoration because it's so pretty. So I think I am going to go ahead and give this one a second chance at least, if not keep it as a decoration. Next bronzer that I have here is the Tarte Park Avenue Princess. Now this it's a sample size, and I don't know, like it takes a lot for me to get pigment out of it. You know, you can see like there's nothing there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and toss this one because I think it's kind of old and it's time to let it go. Next bronzer I have here is the Too Faced Snow Bunny bronzer. Now, as you can tell, it's been pretty well loved. I hate that like when you swirl colors together like this, it gets like this. It is a really pretty like luminous sort of a bronzer. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but I recently got the Chocolate Soleil Gold bronzer, and I feel like it gives me the same kind of color payoff, so I am going to let this one go. I'll probably just toss it because, I mean, who's going to want a bronzer that looks like that? Okay, next I have this little Tarteist Pro Glow To Go little kit. This has two highlighters and a bronzer. I really like this. It smells like chocolate or vanilla or whatever that scent is. And the colors are really good. The bronzer is a little bit warm for me. Like, I mean, I know bronzers are supposed to be warm, but this one it's just a little, it doesn't look that warm on my swatch, but I feel like it goes on my face kind of orange. So, but I love those highlighters, and this is really good for traveling. I think I'm gonna also pop this into a travel makeup bag. So I am going to go ahead and hold on to this along with the Too Faced blush and put those into a travel makeup bag and not count it against my 10 that I'm saving because they're not going to go in my regular makeup collection. Okay, moving on to oh wait, I do have one more bronzer. This is silly. This is the Bare Skin Sheer Sun Serum Bronzer. I just don't really understand how to use it. It looks like if I could figure out how to use it, if it weren't so messy, like I would probably really like it. So it's just very liquidy, and it just makes my face look dirty because I don't know how to use it. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that one go. I've used probably half of it, so I think I'm going to just toss it because it's a tiny little sample anyways. All right, now we're going to move on to the highlighters. Okay, so I'm going to start with this Alchemist palette from Kat Von D. First of all, the packaging, although it's gorgeous, it's really annoying to store this thing because it's a triangle. It's like, where am I going to put this unless you want to like leave it out as a decoration, and it just doesn't go with my stuff. So packaging is one thing. Also, these are beautiful, but I never use them. And I just recently bought that, not that recently, I bought it at Christmas time, that Urban Decay palette with the shifting colors. I can't remember what it's called, but it has like the same kind of toppers. I would say these are maybe a little bit better quality, but still, like, I don't need doubles, especially when it's something that I don't really reach for. So I am gonna let this one go. Next thing I have here is the Lorac Starlight highlighter. Now let me actually show you all these highlighters that I have here to declutter. Starlight from Lorac, Moonstone from Becca, and Mary Lou from The Balm. And although these tones are not exactly the same, I feel like they look the same when, although these tones are not exactly the same, I feel like they look like the same color when they're sheared out on the skin. So I'm gonna just go ahead and swatch them and show you how similar they are. So they're just, you know, when you don't put on a highlighter like this, you diffuse it out. It looks the same. This one I am going to get rid of because it is the least soft of the three. It's a nice highlighter. There's nothing wrong with it. It's good. But again, you know, these are like all the same colors. I also have similar colors in the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea highlighter palette, which I prefer over all of these. So I am going to get rid of Moonstone as well. And then Starlight, which is, I want to keep this one. I think this one is Starlight. Let me just double check. Yeah, that one's Starlight. So I think I am going to give Starlight from Lorac a second chance because I just haven't used this enough. And it is a good highlighter. So we're going to rescue that one. And then I also have Becca's Opal. These like sample Opal Shimmering Skin Perfectors are in like every Sephora Favorites kit that you get that has highlighter in it. It's a really pretty highlighter, but I do actually have this in the Opal shade in one of the palettes, so I don't need to have a single as well. I use probably more on my eyes than I do as a highlighter because it is slightly dark for me, but it is a really pretty highlighter as well. Okay, next, this is the Milk Makeup Glitter Stick in the shade Techno. Yeah, I tried to use this and it's just, ugh. I do not like the texture. I tried using it like once and it's very gritty and it does not look good on the skin. It just looks like you glued glitter to your face or something. It's very gritty, not very nice. So definitely going to get rid of this one. And then finally I have my NARS I can never say this right, Copacabana, what do you even call this? Illuminator. So this is really, really pretty. It's a very nice mix-in. You can mix it into your foundation. You can highlight your cheeks with it. It's so pretty. This is the only reason I'm really considering getting rid of this is because it's NARS and NARS made me angry. Well, that's not the only reason. I don't reach for it a lot because I forget about it, but when I do reach for it, I love it. So you know what? I'm gonna give this one a second chance, I think, or at least put it into a maybe pile and see if I'm like over my limit. And then we'll kind of go from there when we finish the declutter. Okay, so here is my kind of final tally. I've got 19 bronzers, highlighters, palettes, etc., blushes, you know, that I'm going to be decluttering for sure. And then I have 5 things that I am possibly going to save. I'm going to put these into the possibly save it pile and then narrow those down to 10 once I'm done with the rest of the declutter. And then these two things I'm just putting into a travel makeup bag. So that is it for today's declutter. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!